In less than 24 hours, how much ground have the SDF forces covered?
The Americans are saying that this is a three-step process for them and the SDF. The first process, they say, is to target supply routes, Daesh supply routes in and out of Raqqa. They say this process has been ongoing for a few months now, with the SDF leading the charge on the ground and the Americans attacking the supply routes in and out of Raqqa from the air. The second phase, the Americans say, was announced over the weekend by the SDF to encircle and besiege Raqqa, to basically cut it off completely and leave no exit or entry points for Daesh fighters to enter this important city. The third phase, which will be the most crucial phase, will be to launch a ground offensive and all-out assault into Raqqa to liberate that city, but that is still a few months away, according to the Americans.
Well, as mentioned, Turkey strongly opposes the YPG's participation in the battle for Raqqa. But Turkey's deputy prime minister says for now, its priority in Syria is not Raqqa, but instead seizing the town of Manbij from the YPG.
The important aspect of the Raqqa operation should be legitimacy. You can provide legitimacy only with legitimate forces, not with armed terror groups. The United States will realize this sooner or later. Every move by non-Arab elements in Raqqa will turn against the US. This is a dead end. This is the wrong way. The only operation that can stop Daesh in the region is an operation which goes through legitimacy.
Meanwhile, many Syrian civilians displaced by the fighting are now being forced to cope with even harsher living conditions. Winter is just around the corner, but autumn hasn't been kind either. Oliver Whitfield-Miocic has more.
Living between the trees and tents and squalor, many people here are unprepared for winter. The autumn rain has already been too much.
We're here in Sijil, and there's rain and mud everywhere. It's indescribable. This is our situation. Let everyone see this. Let them see how people are living. Some of the tents have a meter of water in them. Everyone's stuff is floating around. They don't have anything. Let them see these people.
Abu Ammar lives here in the Sujo camp on the Syrian side of the border with Turkey, outside the town of Azaz. In that camp, both the young and old try to make the best of the situation. Everyone trying to salvage what they can. This is no place for a child.
The water has engulfed us. We are drowning. Find us a solution. Find us higher ground so that we don't float around in this water. Just find us a solution that works, so we can be done with this water. Where else are we going to go?
For now, the people living in Sujo camp will just have to cope. The UN estimates that there are more than 6 million internally displaced people in Syria. Winter is close, and most of the people in this camp don't expect help anytime soon. Oliver Whitfield-Miocic, TRT World.
Well, an Israeli court has sentenced a Palestinian teenager to 12 years in prison after finding him guilty of attempted murder. Ahmed Manasra is 14 years old now. He attacked an Israeli schoolboy with a knife in occupied East Jerusalem. Manasra's cousin was shot dead during the incident. Well, for more on this, Greg Kallstrom joins us now from Tel Aviv. Greg, let's actually start by giving some context in this new youth bill, which allows Israel to jail minors. Just fill us in on that.
Sure. This is a bill that was passed earlier this year, back in August, by the Israeli parliament, the Knesset. Israel, for a long time, has sentenced Palestinian children, teenagers to prison, but that only applied to Palestinians in the occupied territories, in the West Bank specifically, who were subject to Israeli military law. But in East Jerusalem, Israeli civil law, civilian law, is applied. So this bill that was passed earlier this year by the Knesset allows Israel to impose the same penalties on teenagers who live in East Jerusalem, and this is one of the first times that this law was applied. This teenager who was 13 years old when this attack took place, and as you mentioned, is now 14 and being sentenced to a very long prison term.
Okay, besides this new bill, I'm wondering about this sentence. This was one of the most high-profile attacks in this recent wave of attacks. Do you think that because there was a compelling and sensational amount of video evidence in this attack, it played any role in this sentence? Because his sentence is almost just as much as his age.
It is, and you're right, the high-profile nature of it certainly played a role. He was a teenager. His accomplice who he carried this out with was a teenager. One of their victims, one of the people they stabbed, was 12 years old, so a shocking case all around, got a lot of media attention. And of course, it also came at the beginning of this wave of violence that we've seen over the past year here. This happened in October of last year when there were, at some points, 2 or 3 attacks a day. There was a great deal of attention amongst the Israeli public, the Israeli media, and the government was at a bit of a loss for what to do about it and needed to act like it was taking very tough measures. And so handing down a long prison term in this case is one of the things that the government has done to try and reassure the public that it's doing something.
Okay, Kirk Karlstrom joining us live from Tel Aviv. Thank you. Plenty more to come here on TRT World, including protests in Hong Kong after China stops 2 lawmakers from being sworn into the city's legislature. And firefighters battle to control bushfires in New South Wales. We'll take a look after a short break.
Are you ready? Who's going to pay for the wall?
He loves beauty contests.
Said she doesn't have the stamina.
Demonstration of Wirecast.
The FBI's decision closes the book on the email scandal.
We have seen Director Comey's latest letter to the Hill. We're glad to see that that he has found, as we were confident that he would, that he has confirmed the conclusions that he really reached in July, and we're glad that this matter is resolved.
Well, the Republican nominee, Donald Trump, says the investigation will continue, although he gave no evidence on how that's possible.
File special agents at the FBI won't let her get away with her terrible crimes, including the deletion of 33,000 emails after receiving a congressional subpoena. They forget about all of this. Right now, she is being protected by a rigged system. It's a totally rigged system. I've been saying it for a long time.
Well, TRT World's Killian Ducard has been following the election for us from New York's Times Square. Let's cross over there now and get the latest. Killian, just a day to go before these very crucial elections. When you look at the polls, where do Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump stand?
Well, of course, nationally, it's still considered to be a very, very tight race. And this is the final push for both of these candidates. And I can tell you that the Clinton campaign is probably very happy with one day to go with the announcement that the FBI is sticking by its original assessment of the email investigation, saying that they have cleared Hillary Clinton of any wrongdoing. Of course, a spokesperson for Clinton says they wish that they would have arrived at that conclusion and looked at those emails before they made the announcement in the first place. But certainly, both of these candidates are going to be hitting the campaign trail very hard today. And Donald Trump is still going to be using the announcement of the FBI to try to take down Hillary Clinton in the polls. certainly saying that this just 50,000 emails in 8 days. And he said that voters should deliver justice at the ballot box, and we'll certainly see how that plays out in the final hours of this campaign. But certainly it's an incident that's drawn condemnation on both sides of the aisle, with certainly FBI Director James Comey coming under fire for both Democrats and Republicans. The highest ranking Republican, Paul Ryan, saying that it's fine that they went with the original assessment, but it still shows that Hillary Clinton put national security at risk and the nation's secrets.
So 1 day to go, and like you said, Clinton and Donald Trump will be making their final push. What swing states are we going to see these candidates in, and what are they going to convey to the American voter before they head to the polls tomorrow?
Well, Ali John, around 41 million people have already cast their ballots, and these candidates are taking not a single state for granted. They're going to be hitting Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and also Michigan. Michigan actually hasn't been considered a battleground state in this election. It's a traditionally blue state, but it's a bit of a concern for the Clinton campaign for a number of reasons. One is that it lost to Bernie Sanders in the primary.